It's Thursday, March 23rd, 2023. Let's talk about the news. From Axios, Fed raises rates again despite bank failures. The U.S. Federal Reserve has announced a small 0.25% hike in its target interest rate, defying a surge in speculation that they might not hike interest rates at this month's meeting at all. That increase is still smaller than the originally predicted half point that all but went out the window following the collapse of Silicon Valley Bank and heightened perceived vulnerability in a slew of important international banks shortly thereafter. The Bank of England is poised to raise the UK's interest rate as well, though possibly by a bit more, as last month's British inflation numbers came in hotter than anticipated, and these hikes are meant to help stifle inflation, if potentially at the cost of bank stability and broader economic health. From BBC News, Candida auris fungal infections spreading in U.S. at alarming rate, says CDC. The U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention has warned that infections caused by a fungus called Candida auris have been popping up with alarming frequency. Cases within the U.S. nearly doubled in 2021 compared to the previous year. This is a worrying turn of events as this fungal infection is difficult to treat, and the majority of new cases have actually been immune to antifungal treatments. Most healthy people are not at any real risk from this type of infection, but folks who have weakened immune systems and/or are using medical devices like catheters or ventilators are at risk of catching this type of infection and potentially even dying from it. It's thought that this uptick in infections might be a consequence of the COVID-19 pandemic, which has left a lot of people immunocompromised and landed many more in hospitals with ventilators. And from Bloomberg, TikTok's CEO will tell Congress his app is safer than most. A persistent geopolitical storyline will come to a head today as the chief executive officer of social video platform TikTok speaks to the U.S. Congress regarding concerns about his company and existing efforts and near-future plans to address those concerns. TikTok is owned by a Chinese company called ByteDance, and there's a law in China that basically says if the Chinese government tells you to do something, you do it. The concern here, then, is that ByteDance might have been asked, or might be asked in the future, to help the Chinese government engage in espionage and/or surveillance activities on U.S. soil against U.S. citizens. And there's some evidence that this has already happened, though the company claims an instance in which the app was used to spy on journalists was a one-off thing, and an example of employees of the company going rogue. U.S. politicians from both sides of the aisle seem to have realized they can make a lot of hay by seeming to go hard on the Chinese government, and TikTok is a tangible manifestation of the Chinese government in the U.S., so this will likely be an interesting meeting, though the popularity of the app, which reportedly has more than 150 million users in the U.S. alone, suggests that an outright ban wouldn't be terribly well received. So some kind of agreement about data handling, paired with a bunch of sound bites that allow politicians to sound tough, would seem to be the most likely outcome here. If you're finding some value in One Sentence News, consider leaving a quick review wherever you get your podcasts and/or sharing the show with a friend. You can find out more about this show or subscribe to the email version at onesentencenews.com. And you can support this and other related projects, like the Let's Know Things and Brain Lenses podcasts, at understandery.com.